Hello ladies and gentlemen and non-conforming humans, welcome to Planet Earth. Here on Planet Earth we abide by the gender binary, gender norms, and other heteronormative sexual ideals, no matter how toxic or trivial. Before I get started, I just really quickly wanted to say that I am a sex-positive heterosexual feminist, meaning that here on this channel and in this community we do not victim blame, slut shame, or tie our value as women to our sexual activity or our sexual life. And with that being said, I am also someone who identifies as being straight, so a lot of what I'm going to say is through a heterosexual lens, but I also think what I say can be identified with anyone who identifies with the divine feminine energy in your partnerships, in your sexual activity. So gay men, gay women, LGBTQ, anyone who identifies with the divine feminine energy, this one is for you. That was a lot. Okay, let's get started. What age did you lose your virginity, and were you scared that you were going to be bad at or bad at BJ's? The first time I ever had sex was when I was 20, and to answer your question, I was not scared that I was going to be bad at it. I was indeed scared about giving a blowjob though, because I had never done that up until I had sex. And I still have, I will talk about this later. But yes, that is all very normal. Your feelings are very valid. You are typically scared and anxious when you have never done something, when you are riding a bike, when you are driving for the first time. But also, I am very cognizant of saying that this is when I had sex for the first time, because virginity is a social construct. It has been indoctrinated by the patriarchy, by religious beliefs. It's puritanical in the sense that women's value is inversely proportional to their sexual activity, meaning the more that we have sex, the less value we have. And this has been told through religion, through a lot of things that I feel like have been forced to be incredibly non-inclusive, especially with the LGBTQ community, because it makes sex as the first time breaking your hymen, which is scientifically not true. Like, you don't always have your cherry popped when you have sex for the first time. Sometimes that can be popped already. Secondly, it totally minimizes and erases the narrative and the journey of many of our LGBTQ folks. So, you know, just because your cherry isn't popped or because you're not having penetration, does that mean that gay women do not have sex? Do they not lose their virginity? So I find that this concept of virginity has been used through thousands of years to kind of enslave women and their sexuality, and to commodify women's sexuality as something to be conquered, something to be gained as a man. Like, you gain something by taking something away from a person, which is completely asinine in my opinion, because when you drive a car, when you learn how to swim, you gain a new experience rather than lose something. It is the only thing in society that we think of as losing something in reality when you're gaining a new experience. So I typically am very conscious of even just using that word virginity, because you are not less pure or less valuable as a person because of your sexual activity. Why is it also something that's normalized to have this hypersexualized community of gay men having copious amounts of sex, whereas that's not okay for the lesbian community? So it's just a lot to think about. I think the more critically you think about the paradigm of female sexuality, the more trivial and the more ridiculous it seems. Have you ever felt guilt or shame about having sex? If so, how did you get over it? Truthfully speaking, for me personally, no. I have never felt guilt or shame about having sex. I have always identified strongly as a liberal feminist, and I had sex quite late, although I don't subscribe to traditional milestones that society has. I believe that whenever you're ready to have sex is the appropriate time to have sex, and for me that was when I was 20. I also did not have sex for the first time with a boyfriend. I don't believe that you need to be in a monogamous, committed relationship. This was a person I was dating for 3 months, and I felt that I was ready, and I feel that there are just 3 things that obviously need to be in mind and intact when you are thinking about having sex for the first time. And obviously the easiest ones are, is that safe and is it consensual? And number 3, do you trust and respect this person? And vice versa, do they trust and respect you? Because oftentimes I feel like when we have a negative experience with sex or any sexual activity, the third one is a huge, I mean, they're all equally important, but the third one is a huge one. Even after you've had sex multiple times, is do you respect the person and do they respect you? And that includes respecting your boundaries, your wishes, your desires. And then also, do you trust them? Because sex is very intimate, not only in a physical way, but also in a mental and psychological and emotional way. So I feel like, do they respect and trust you, and do you respect and trust them? And these are often things that we're not really thinking about. We're just thinking like, oh my god, is this person hot? Do I like this person? But I really think we should be putting the utmost importance on the safe and being consensual, but also, do you respect and trust this person, and vice versa? Do they trust and respect you? Because, you know, you can be in a toxic relationship, and if your boyfriend doesn't respect your wishes, or if you don't trust them because they've cheated on you, I don't necessarily believe that is a person that's an ideal partner for you to be having sex with. So I think it's just reframing a lot of what we think of as like a good ideal partner. Recently, I heard letting a guy titty fuck you is degrading. Now I'm conflicted. Your views? Like a lot of the things I'm gonna say about sex, it's if it was fun, safe, and consensual and turned you on, then it is not degrading. Whatever you choose to feel powerful and empowered by during your sexual activity is totally fine, and that is just someone's opinion. We can respect other people's opinion, but if you like it and if you are turned on by that, if you think it's fun, it is not degrading. Growing up Asian American, sex was a no-no topic in my life. How was it for you growing up? Sex was not a no-no topic for me, but at the same time, it was not something that we just, you know, talked at the dinner table or even mentioned in day-to-day life. I think my parents are quite conservative compared to the Martian that they gave birth to, but I would say that everything I ever learned and how to become sex positive and finding my own ideals and carving out the way that I would like to view sex and my sexual identity was through the internet. I read a lot, I Googled a lot, I was on Tumblr, I read feminist theory. Through hearing about different perspectives on female sexuality and seeing which ones I identified with. And so I feel like that's why I turned 20 and realized, okay, like I've thought about all the different scenarios and I'm okay with this. And so I feel like I've always been someone who's questioned everything, challenged everything, and critically thought about a lot of the systems and beliefs that we're told to abide by. For example, I think growing up, I always thought why it was sex workers and strippers that we as a society shunned or kind of ostracized and belittled, when really I was thinking like, why is there even a market for this? Like, shouldn't we be shaming the customer? What demographic and what market is making this a commodity in general? Like, somebody needs to want to buy this for it to even be sold, because I believe that sex workers all have mouths to feed, roofs to, how you get your coin is not necessarily as interesting to me as the psyche of someone who would like to purchase that. Meaning, why are we not critically analyzing the person that is purchasing this or creating the market for this, and also commodifying women's sexuality? I am so confused. It's one thing to be a part of a system, but it's another to create that system, to create female sexuality as a commodity. Who is doing that? That patriarchy. At what age did you start masturbating? I feel like typically within my female friends or with females I have met and talked about this thing with, it's either one of two things. One, that they have never masturbated their entire life, which I think is insane, or two, that they started masturbating quite at a later age compared to the young pubescent male who starts masturbating, I feel like, at 8 or 9 years old. I started masturbating at 17. I started reading about it on Tumblr, I actually think there was like a masturbation forum that I started reading, and I got really curious about it because I saw it on TV and in films, and I was like, what is that? And I decided, I put my fingers down my pants one time and I did it right on the eve of my 17th birthday, and I haven't looked back since. How often do you masturbate? So I am happily in a committed monogamous relationship at this moment in time and have been for about 4 months now. But when I was single, I masturbated almost on a daily basis. A lot of you asked me how you could get rid of masturbation guilt or why you feel so disgusting and ashamed, and I think it's the patriarchy that indoctrinated our value to like being sexual beings. Like, it is okay to be sexual, and I think that masturbation is typically, it just sounds like a very like weird topic, especially growing up as a girl, but I think the way that we can reframe masturbation is sex with yourself. Now, when we say it like that, sex with yourself sounds amazing. Like, you are the person that knows yourself best. You are someone who loves you, who respects you, who trusts you. So sex with yourself is amazing. And not only from a sexual perspective, masturbation is incredibly healthy for your mental health. It can release stress, it can relieve body pain, it can actually help some premenopausal symptoms, I believe, and it is really great because it releases your serotonin, so you get happier, and it makes you tired. Orgasming makes you tired so you can have a deeper sleep. My friends come over and they joke because I have my dildo on the sink sometimes, and I'm very not ashamed of masturbation because sex with yourself is incredibly important. I think masturbation is the fastest way to learn about you and what you like and your preferences. Before you have sex with anyone else, you should indeed have sex with yourself, because you should know yourself the best. That leaves me to the next question. Do you use sex toys? Yes, I have two. I have a beloved rabbit dildo and a mini bullet vibrator, and one was a gift and the other one I bought off Amazon. And I love them both, but I read somewhere on the internet that getting orgasm through vibration can make your clit not stimulated or insensitive when you have vaginal penetration or just have sex without a toy. So I am very conscious not to use them very often, because I did find that when I started to have normal sex without a robot, I started to not be as sensitive as I would. So I am for the sex toys, especially because they're the most efficient way to kind of get off, but your good old hands, I feel like the best way to start masturbating is using your hands and just exploring yourself with yourself. It's free, cheap, and easy, and you always have access to it. Is it okay to masturbate in a relationship? So I'm in a relationship right now, and I think yes, it is totally okay to masturbate. It also keeps your sexual fitness and your sexual activities up even without having to actually have sex. And I also think that it helps with your imagination when you finally do get to have real sex. And for me, because of scheduling and also just because sometimes I'm horny, I do still masturbate even when I'm in a relationship. Other times I will save it so that actual sex will be a little bit more sensational. But yeah, like, I don't do it nearly as often as I did when I was single, but I still masturbate in a relationship, and if my partner wanted to do that, as long as it wasn't taking away from our sexual life, meaning that he just, didn't want to have sex with me, I think it's completely fine and completely healthy and completely normal. Masturbation is good for you. How did you handle orgasming for the first time? I've had plenty of times, but I get nervous. Honestly, the more fun that you're focused on having yourself and not putting so much on him, the more that you are trying to get in with your zhuzh, because men typically can orgasm quite quickly, whereas women, we've got to work a little bit harder. And I guarantee you having fun and you being turned on is what makes it exponentially more fun and more sexy to him. So the more that you're orgasming, the more that you're focused on your benefit from this experience, the more fun he will have, because no one wants to have sex with someone who is silent. No one who wants to have sex with someone who is not having fun. No one wants to have sex with someone who's not as passionate. The way that you are going to be a good partner in bed is if you just make sure that you're in the moment, that you are making sure you get your own pleasure as well. Be selfish. It's okay to be selfish, especially as females or as the feminine energy. So much of what we're told is to kind of please, but actually I really believe that the more fun you dedicate having to yourself, the more fun that the partner is going to have too. Trust me, having you get turned on turn someone else on. Like, if you're not opening the gates of heaven and exploding my brains out, like, what fun are we really having, sir? And vice versa. Like, I'm sure you want your mans to be having a good time, right? But be a little bit more selfish. I know that's something more radical to think about, but trust me, the more fun you're having, the more in the moment you are, the more passion that you feel. Be loud, be bold, be yourself. Don't ever feel like you have to shrink yourself or quiet yourself down for a man or for a partner or for anybody in that manner, not only just in life but like especially in bed. You are totally free to be yourself. Is it weird to be 26 years old and not have anything near a real sexual experience? Time is an illusion and virginity is a social construct. When you're supposed to hit these milestones in life, it's just a part of the system, part of something to make you feel bad about yourself when you don't accomplish it. If you're content and happy and satisfied with not having had a sexual experience, then good on you. If anything, I'm extremely proud of you for being bold and authentic and staying true to yourself rather than abiding to what society tells you to do. On the other hand, if you do feel insecure and if you are horny and you do want to have sex, just put in the action steps and the efforts to go out and find someone that is healthy and fun and someone that you can, practice with, Any tips for a vaginal orgasm? I have yet to have one through masturbation and never had through sex. Oh my god! Ooh! In the beginning, when I was first having sex, it was pretty easy for me to come just through vaginal penetration, but I think as I've had sex more and more and also have introduced electronic sex toys in my life, it's been a little bit harder. So typically I find that, have him or have your partner rub your clit or you rub your clit as they're penetrating you. And I feel like both of those in combination can really help to bring orgasm through vaginal penetration. And I don't think that you should be embarrassed or shy to do that because it's hot when you orgasm, and please, like, anything that can help you orgasm, I'm pretty sure your partner is going to be okay with that. And honestly, most oftentimes than not, my partners think it's very sexy. Whatever you can to feel good, because this is, a two-way street. Like, as much as you're helping him feel good or helping your partner feel good, you want to make sure you're feeling good and great inside, Also making sure that you're extremely well lubricated, so getting lube. Coconut oil is really great, except that it can degrade some of the condoms. Do you like giving blowjobs? No, but the reason why I don't like giving blowjobs has nothing to do with the actual act of giving a blowjob. It is primarily due to the fact that I just feel like I'm not good at giving head. Everybody's body is extremely different from the last. What turned on your last partner might not turn on your new partner. And I think that's the most daunting part about giving oral sex to somebody, is figuring out what they like and what they don't like and what turns them on and like what areas stimulate them the most. So typically what I like to do if I'm gonna have a sexual relationship with this person, and if it's open and honest and I trust them, which I would hope that you do, have all these things with the person that you're having sex with, is spending one session or maybe two where you just literally figure out the areas that stimulate them the most, what techniques help them out, and it's literally just openly communicating during this time. And after you do this session, it's just a great way to learn about your partner's body and to learn about how to give them the greatest head that you can. I don't necessarily like giving blowjobs just because I don't feel like it's just like some part of it is like kind of scary to me, but I know that once I have this session and when we're like openly communicating during the session, I can definitely get a lot more confident and secure in my own abilities, and I just want to make sure that my partner is having a good time. How often should a guy give oral? The ratio of oral sex is so unbalanced to me. I think that, like many things in life, everything should pretty much be equal or balanced, and this is obviously goes by a case by case scenario, because depending on your partner, maybe your partner incredibly loves giving head more so than the average person, and maybe you like giving it a little less. And understanding and communicating this is more important than the actual ratio, because if my partner doesn't really like giving head that much, I mean, I'm not going to expect or force them to give that to me all the time. And also if they love doing that, I'm also not gonna restrict them. Side note, this is a very personal thing, but I think maybe more women need to hear this. I only give head if I get it first. I have my own hangups and insecurities about giving head. Like, there's no problem with me giving it, but typically my partners always give it to me first, just because as women I feel like there's this notion of being indebted, as if we have to constantly be the ones pleasing the man or the partner first, whereas I feel like women, you know, you don't even have to give head if you don't want to. I consider myself a modern woman, and that means in no way am I selfish or frugal with my oral sex. You know, I just want to make sure that my partner is going to be equally as generous, so I just make sure that they give it to me first. And that's usually the first time we ever have sex, but obviously like I can give head first like after we've had sex. I don't know, it's just my own thing. You obviously don't have to do this. I'm not putting this on anyone else. It's just something that I wanted to share. My significant other is more experienced than me. How do I ask to try new things or experiment with him? You just ask. If he's your significant other or they're your significant other, I would hope that you have the openness and the honesty to authentically communicate your needs. You have a voice, please use it. I remember I was having sex with somebody and it was really not enjoyable. I was just not there. It was his maneuvering wasn't that great, and I remember I was like silent, and I remember thinking in that moment, like within 5 seconds, if I don't speak, this is becoming non-consensual. You have a voice, Amy, like say something right now. And I think luckily he could feel that I was like deep in thought, and he asked like, is everything okay? And I was like, oh, perfect. And honestly, I used my voice. I expressed and I communicated. I just said, honestly, I'm not that into this, and we just stopped having sex. If I can talk about that with someone who wasn't like super close to me or had an amazing mental and emotional connection with, I would hope that you're able to talk about this with your significant other, because what is the foundation that your relationship is built upon? I hope it's like openness, honesty, respect, trust, compassion, empathy. Please talk about it. You know, I'm sure it's not nearly as weird or as daunting as you might think. All right, Komi is now asleep, so I think that's a good sign for me to sign out now. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you liked it. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.